Hey everybody, it's Toby from Toby Studios. Today I'm going to be doing a quick tutorial on pouring resin into your silicone molds. There you see I'm dusting the inside of my mold with baby powder. Baby powder acts as a surface tension breaker. The resin has a tendency to be a little bit thicker than water, so when you go to pour in the resin into your molds, if your molds are pretty complex on the inside, it does have a tendency to want to capture bubbles, which there's nothing more frustrating than spending all this time sculpting and then pouring and all this, and then you pull it out and there's bubbles all over it. So the baby powder definitely helps break up that surface tension and gives you nice, smooth, clean castings. A lot of that too is dependent on how you mix your resins, part A and part B, together. I always try to be very, very careful in that process because you don't want to incorporate bubbles or create bubbles by carelessly stirring your resin as fast as you can. You always want to just try to go nice and easy, nice and smooth, and that is going to help you out in the long run. Here you see I'm rubber banding my mold together. This is also a very, very important part of the process. You want to try to eliminate a double seam line or where the mold is not put together properly. When you pour your resin in there and those seam lines don't match up, then you're going to get I guess what you could call a stair stepping on the back, and it just causes for more work in the cleanup process. A little bit of flash is okay. I've actually been able to do it where I haven't gotten any flash. The seam was perfect. Those are far and few and in between. So it's just a matter of just getting accustomed to what that's supposed to look like, get a good seal, and that will help you out in the long run. There I had to readjust it a little bit because there was a little bit of a step down in the middle of the mold, which that's always a challenge to see down in there. Sometimes I'll use a flashlight and look down inside to make sure it's all ready to go. Uh, but that in this case, it wasn't necessary. A scale is very important when you're measuring up your resins. There's two different ways you can do this. You can do it by weight, and I believe the other one is by drawing lines on your cups and doing equal portions, part A and part B. I always just measure. It's always better to just try to get that proper measurement. Eyeballing it you can do, but you run a risk of having too much of side A or too much of side B, and that will cause curing issues, and that's very frustrating when you spend all this time to sculpt and mold and then get ready to cast and it doesn't cure. That's so frustrating. Anyway, here you see I'm getting ready to incorporate side A and side B together. One of the keys is to make sure that you incorporate the two together without air bubbles, because you can definitely make the air bubbles. So I always like to pour it down the side of the cup and then very gently mix with my stir stick. The key is to mix quickly, but not to incorporate the bubbles, because once, of course, side A and side B meet, then that's when the chemical reactions start. I always just make sure to scrape the sides and just give it a good mixture with here to make sure that it's all incorporated. I also want to make sure to do a little side note here that be very careful when you're mixing this stuff up to either not get it on your skin or your eyes and or your clothes or tabletops. This stuff will definitely ruin whatever it is that gets on it. So make sure you just take those extra precautions. Here you see I'm getting ready to pour the resin directly into the mold. Notice that I pour it on the side and let it sheen down. Again, this goes back to making sure you don't incorporate bubbles into your pours when you don't have to. Notice I'm rotating, always doing kind of a rotocast type mindset where you just constantly keep spinning that resin around there to get a nice good coat on the inside of your molds. Then I like to just pour in a little bit more. I guess that's not really necessary. It's just something that I learned just through trial and error, to just add a little bit more and rotate it. Once I get a good solid coating, then I feel comfortable with it. Then I'll just go ahead and pour it in the rest of the way, being again very careful, because the bubbles and the air that's caught in there is going to rise to the top So just keep that in mind. Resin is an interesting material. It's kind of thick. It's not like the water, of course, so it will trap those bubbles. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and top off the mold. Better to have a little too much than not enough. You can mix, but a little bit more and add to it, but I really don't like to do that. Here you see I sped up the process of the curing. It takes about 10 minutes. And now we're going to go ahead and demold this sucker. Not too much to say about this. You just remove the rubber bands, of course. Again, please make sure that you give it about 10 minutes of cure time, 10 to 15 minutes. The longer, the better. Nothing's more frustrating than going to demold one of your sculpts that you've spent all this time and energy on, and then you pull it out and the ears have distorted or the nose has distorted because the curing has not taken place fully, and it warps your sculpt. Very frustrating. So this is going to wrap up this video. Please like and subscribe if you'd like what you've seen. Leave a comment below, and I will make more videos soon. Thanks.
Please hang up and try again.